All right, everyone. So I'm reading an article here from Forbes. Second Battlefield 6 beta annoys with open weapons and a bad rush mode. Now, you can check out our Battlefield dedicated channel where we've done some videos based on this, but go check that out because we're not going to have all our gaming stuff on this or Battlefield stuff on this gaming channel. That's going to be on the Battlefield only channel, but I felt like this was a big enough story to get into. So let's start reading. Battlefield 6 is hype is losing a bit of steam with changes to its second beta run involving new additions, controversial decisions, and rough retreads of old modes. The main problem is that players are now getting a larger taste of open weapons. The idea is that any class can use any weapon without being locked into a true specialist classification. It's a concept that was never in any Battlefield game until 2042, and players didn't like it then either. No one can really understand why it's back again. Players feel like DICE is trying to force the issue, and now by showing it off significantly in the beta, players will come around. As of now, that is not happening. And an additional complication here is that the once beloved rush mode has forced open weapons right now. Okay. So we're going to keep reading, but I want to start with that. I always say I kind of bend the knee a little bit to the hardcore Battlefield fans. Now, I loved Battlefield 3, played it all the time, but I haven't kept up with the series as much. I played some of the new Battlefields, but I haven't kept up as much as of late. So if people are upset about open weapons, I understand why they are. I don't think personally it's a game breaking thing and something that makes me hate the game, but I do understand that by making open weapons something, the classes become a little bit less meaningful. Don't get me wrong, there are distinct changes between each class, but back in the day, I love being the medic, but it was kind of one of those things where it's like I like using an LMG, so I'm fine being the medic, but also I can't actually use the AR, right? I have to use the LMG, and I do get that there's a level of like, okay, you actually have to make decisions of upside downside, whereas in reality now, when I'm choosing my class, the only upside downside I'm thinking about is the perks that I'm getting, or I mean, they're not technically perks, but like, can I revive somebody? Or can I put down a spawn point? Or can I give ammo? Like, those are the only things I'm thinking about now. Whereas before, you had a real kind of cost benefit analysis thing, right? Where it was like, oh, okay, like if I don't pick this class, then I can't even use the gun I want. So I understand why there's some people upset about that. I just don't think it's necessarily game breaking. And so there's a guy from his name is Kelsky, and his Twitter is at KelskyYT. So he must have a YouTube channel. He obviously he's probably way bigger than me, but still, I've never heard of him. Forcing Rush and BF6 to be open weapons only is such a massive L. I don't know why Dice is so insistent on keeping it when many people dislike it. They're literally saying, oh, no, you love it, you just don't know it yet. Read the room, man. So clearly not happy. Rush is the second problem. Besides open weapons, the 12v12 setup is not working, the maps are unbalanced, and the core game mode feels like it's totally lost its way. Some are calling for it to be shelved until DICE can figure out how to bring it back to its former glory. The controversy has so far not hurt the player count of the second beta. It rocketed up to 380,000 concurrent players on Steam and will likely top 400,000 by the time I finish this article. The all time peak was 521,000 for the first beta, which is higher than any Call of Duty games has ever been on the platform. Some believe that Battlefield 6 is set to take a major chunk out of Black Ops 7 this year or even beat it in sales, but that remains an incredibly high bar that may not be possible to hit. Okay. So that's the other thing, okay, is the rush mode. Now, I didn't think about this concern all that much until I was reading these articles. I have no problem with rush. I feel like there's enough modes here in which you can find the kind of style you're looking for and just play that mode and it's fine. But I will say that Battlefield 3, I played that so long ago that I can't really remember the difference between this rush mode and that one. And I understand that if people feel the Battlefield 3 version was better, that they're going to be upset when they implement it in a new game and it's not quite as good. I get that completely. So, once again, not something that I've really been upset about, but I understand why people may. And I think this is one of the reasons I wanted to do this video as well, is because part of the problem I have too is that the media and a lot of people that maybe are hardcore fans and I'm not knocking them, they may be upset about this. But if you look at the player count, I just don't think that we're seeing that effect actually, bleed into the people playing the game. I played the game before reading any reviews or videos or any of that, and I just had a great time, even in rush mode. And I look, like I said, I'm reading the critiques. I get it, but I'm just having fun with it. I don't know what else to say, right? Okay, I think there's a little bit more in this Forbes article. Yes. Okay. This dampened enthusiasm for the second beta is not exactly what Battlefield 6 needs right now. Messing up a core game mode and continuing to force the open weapons concept that 90% of the community hates is not earning the kind of goodwill we saw from the almost universally beloved first beta. DICE has commented on open weapons mixed with signature weapons before this, and this is what they had to say. Signature weapons came from BF Labs feedback. DICE design director Damien said, players told us we missed the connection between classes and weapons, so we rebuilt that connection. Each class in Battlefield 6 now is a signature weapon, though players are still free to customize loadouts in regular modes. There are also locked experiences where you're restricted to your class's weapon. Okay. So, look, like I said, I'm loving this. I think the beta is great, and I really think this is going to be a game that when it comes out, people are going to be pumped about. DICE, EA, they could screw this up. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't know if this is one of those things where parts of the community are really upset, and maybe for good reason, but it's not going to bleed into the success of the game. With that being said, I think they should go ahead and fix these problems that the community is mad about here. Especially there was another article, and you could check it out on our Battlefield channel that we talked about, kind of going over these same concerns. But one of the users brought up, this is a real problem because like when we're playing rush mode, being the attacker all the time or being the defender all the time, that's a real concern and something that is really annoying. So they should take this to heart, and you could make fixes for your real hardcore fans, even if your player count's high. Like I said, I don't know if this is actually bleeding into the player count, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't make these fixes because it could in the future bleed into your player count, and you should just be trying to make the best game possible. And you certainly can kind of rework the rush mode. You have until October. Let this beta play out, and then come October, announce what changes you're going to do. And if you could do that, deliver for your fans, and you could really, like I said, whether it's a compete or with Call of Duty or not, you could really have a successful game because you did exactly what you needed to do. You launched a beta, and people are loving it, right? You launched a beta, and people are playing it. That means they're going to be playing the game when it comes out. And so you have to deliver in those first 3 months. Got something in my throat, but you have to deliver in the first 3 months. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.